conversation. And we are on to another fascinating conversation with the man himself, the man of the hour, Dr. Wilmer Leon. We are joined with Dr. Wilmer Leon. He's a political scientist, nationally syndicated columnist, and host, or former host of the Critical Hour. Bastards. Dr. Leon, what is your current show, by the way? Because I know you're still on the show.
Well, there are, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So there are two shows. My Sirius XM show called Inside the Issues, Saturdays on Sirius XM 126 from 11 to 2 Eastern. And now daily, I have a podcast, Connecting the Dots with Dr. Wilmer Leon, which you can find on YouTube and Patreon and everywhere podcasts are provided.
Excellent. Man, let's connect some dots.
Let's do that.
So, and apologize for being late. There were technical issues with Mark when I was trying to get him on. I apologize. I'm sorry.
I will find it in my heart to forgive you.
Thank you. Thank you. So Trump is our once and future president. He's our once and future president.
Mm-hmm.
From your point of view, from your learned point of view, you've studied politics for God knows how long. Why did he win? What did the Democrats do wrong? And what did Trump do right?
Well, you know, I'm glad that you framed the question that way. Normally, I don't toot my own horn, but folks that have read this piece say that it is well done. And in that, I say you need to stop asking why did Kamala lose and start asking why did Donald Trump win. And I think there are a number of reasons. First of all, the economy. A lot of people really don't understand the cyclical nature of economies. And so there were a lot of people that were saying, I was better off during the first Trump campaign. I was financially better off. And they were attributing those benefits to Donald Trump, not understanding that it takes about 1.5 to 2 years from the previous administration's economic circumstance to make its way into, well, no, I had that backwards. The first 2 years of the Trump economy were more attributable to the Obama economic cycle than Trump's economic knowledge. We also had a pandemic, which made that whole cycle and circumstance incredibly unique. So to ascribe the benefit to Donald Trump, I believe, was misapplied, and Vice President Harris did a terrible job of explaining that to the American people. Another thing that I think factored into this, independents tend to be not so ideologically driven as they are economically driven. And so because a good number of those undecideds or those independents, they were looking at the economy, the chances of them based on an ideological basis voting for Kamala Harris was incredibly minimized. And she did nothing to appeal to those people. Another element, Donald Trump stuck to his base. Kamala Harris ran from her base. Instead of her embracing Dick Cheney, she should have been embracing Bernie Sanders. Instead of her running around with Liz Cheney, she got the wrong Liz. She should have been running around with Elizabeth Warren.
Yep.
She thought somehow that standing with or literally next to war criminals, as in Dick Cheney and his daughter, that somehow was going to ingratiate her with I don't know who. I guess she thought she was going to pull in a whole bunch of disaffected Republicans.
She did. That's exactly what she did. In
But-
fact, I want to play this for you.
But not enough.
Well, right. I mean, her thought was, and because this is Democratic playbook, I would argue right here, Chuck Schumer. I know you remember this and I want you to tell me whether or not you believe this was the campaign that Kamala Harris effectively ran. Because from my point of view, she effectively ran exactly what Chuck Schumer is saying right here. And the reason she did it is because all things being equal, she gets sick of lefties. Like you said, they ran from the base. In their mind, we're going to get so many disaffected Republicans that we're going to replace this lefty progressive branch that just wants healthcare and education. They want all of these things that we don't want to provide anyway. This is Chuck Schumer.
And it's already won a large percentage of those people over. On the other hand, Trump is so new that this is the second point, for every blue-collar Democrat we will lose in Western PA, we will pick up 2, 3 moderate Republicans in the suburbs of Philadelphia. And you can repeat that in Ohio and Illinois and Wisconsin. The voters who are most out there.
Does he drink?
I don't.
Does he drink?
We might have started. We might have started after this election.
He must have been flat, stone cold drunk.
That's what they thought.
Yeah. Liz Cheney voted for Donald Trump 98% of the time.
Yep.
Kamala, wrong move, homegirl. I know she watches the show, Jamarl. Wrong move, homegirl. Wrong damn move. She ran from her base. Yep. When Donald Trump's advisors, and this is a mistake that I made in my calculus around September, I was saying Donald Trump is still running a primary campaign. He has not shifted to the general election.
Right.
Well, I was wrong. I was right in that assessment, but I was wrong on the impact.
Right.
He say what you want about the man, and most of what you say will be true and correct. He's the devil reincarnate. We got all that. But but like the devil, he's a phenomenal marketer. And he understands, oh, the wind's blowing this way. Who was it that said, there go the people, I must now lead them? He stuck to his base. Yep. And all of this chatter about disaffected black men and black men abandoning Kamala, they came into this as though because she's an African, because she's a black woman that went to an HBCU that can do the electric slide, that she is entitled.
Yeah.
Entitled. That's how they played this.
Yeah.
And that if you, Jamarl Thomas, as a African-American man, even question her, you hate black women.
Yep.
You hate yourself. You're a misogynist.
Yeah.
No, I'm just a voter that wants to know if you're asking me for my vote, as opposed to telling me I'm supposed to vote for you. Why?
Yeah.
What are you giving me? And when you listen to her, you look, it was the middle of September before she had a policy tab on her website.
I know.
And folks wanted to say, oh, well, that's because she didn't have time. She had a damn $1 billion.
Yeah.
Kamala, if you'd have sent me 300 grand, you'd have had in a week.
Right.
In a week.
Right.
If send, and I'm throwing these names out there. I'm not ascribing any.
Right.
Send Dr. Richard Wolff 300 grand and see if, as an economist, he doesn't in a week give you economic policy. Send me 300 grand in a week. You got foreign policy. You know, I could have given her. And oh, by the by, didn't she run to be president 4 years before?
Yes.
So it's not as though she woke up on the 15th of July and said, you know what, I think I'm gonna run for president.
But there's a difference. There's a difference. She ran in the primary last time.
But she ran.
No, what I mean is she evolved on her positions. Because as you pointed out, you thought Donald Trump was going to tack back to the left in order to go into the main thing. Basically, that's what they do, right? They run a particular thing. They lie.
She ran to the right.
She ran to the right. I mean, she transnational gangs. She was out there with Liz Cheney, genocide, pro-war. I mean, in fact, the pro-war thing was fascinating because she was taking the position as if she was orthodoxy on pro-war and that the public agreed with her. So she was like, oh, he's hanging out with dictators. And she's throwing it out there like as if she's arguing abortion. Like if you notice, when she's arguing abortion, she has a certain cadence to her because she knows the rest
she
of the
knows
public
that issue.
Exactly. And the public
she knows that issue. As a woman, she viscerally knows that issue.
But see, she talks about war in the same way, as if the public is on my side on this issue. And it's like, no, they're not. It's like, no, they're not. The orthodoxy is not on your side. But the public is okay with him making a deal with Kim Jong-un to stop firing missiles in the Sea of Japan. They're okay with him ending the war in Ukraine. They're okay with that stuff. And it was almost like she was mind blown that wasn't, that her orthodoxy wasn't the thing that the public wanted on that issue.
But my point about her running before had more to do with infrastructure and you ran for the job 4 years ago,
right?
Which means you had to have put something together, even though it was horrible because you couldn't even make it out the first debate. But you had something there. And you were VP for 4 years.
There's that.
So it's not as though you were trying to run for German parliament as an American who just went on to Germany for vacation and decided you were going to run. I would think I'm going to run to be in the Bundestag.
Right.
No. And also what we saw was a horrific failure by the party. That's why my piece isn't, well, depending on where you read it, the original title is Requiem for a Failed Campaign and a Party, because the Democratic Party is done.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton has moved them so far to the right that if Ronald Reagan were to reappear today, he would be considered a conservative Democrat, not a Republican. And the country isn't there.
Yeah.
He lost all 5 swing states. Now, people want to say, well, it was misogynistic Latinos. No. Those folks are working. Those folks have jobs. Those folks are voting their interest, or what they perceive to be their interest, because Donald Trump is lying to them. I mean, for the most part, Donald Trump is lying.
Yeah, I don't think
he's playing them. He's playing them, and they got played.
Yeah, I don't think he's an honest actor on this stuff. I mean, truth be told, Kamala Harris lost 10 million votes. Like, if you're looking at Joe Biden brought in 81 million votes. Kamala Harris brought in 71 million. If that number pops up 2 million when they finish California, which is humiliating that they're still counting California, by the way, but whatever. He still beat her by like 8 million votes. Or Joe Biden, meaning if Kamala Harris had Joe Biden numbers, she would have won this race. Like, those people just stayed home. They were uninspired. There was nothing to inspire them, nothing to get them out in order to go to the polls.
I don't want to hear she was a black woman. No. And here's why that's BS. See, that's why it's BS. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote in 2016.
Yes, she did.
She got 64 million votes.
Yes, she did.
And at last I checked, she's a woman. Barack Obama won twice, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a black man. So I know that we're not talking apples to apples, but we are talking apples within a fruit basket. Kamala Harris, last I checked, you said 74 million.
It might be up to 74.
71.
71, but it could be up from California. Yeah.
So Kamala Harris got like 9 million more votes than Hillary Clinton got, or whatever the number is. I don't know. So don't tell me America won't vote for a woman, because America did and voted. She got more votes than Hillary Clinton got, and Hillary Clinton won the popular vote in 16. Don't tell me they won't vote for a person of color, because Barack Obama won twice. How about this? You ran a lousy campaign. You had no policy. And people say to me, oh, well, she articulated. No, they were talking points.
Yeah.
And here's an example. $25 million for a first-time home buyer. Every economist I talk to, Dr. Jack Rasmus, Dr. Richard Wolff, Dr. Linwood Tawhid, they all said the same thing. All that's going to do, first of all, is raise the price of the house by $25,000. Now that the seller knows there's $25,000 out there in
right.
And here's a question, and this is why I say it wasn't a policy conversation. How are you going to pay for it? Where's the money? Where's the money for that one position when you're sending $8 billion to Ukraine, $8.7 billion to Israel, $600 million to Taiwan in a day?
Yeah.
Joe Biden sent that to them one day in October. In a day, you sent $17 billion of our hard-earned tax money overseas. How are you going to pay for it?
If you remember, she said we can do both. There was one of the people stopped her and was asking her about, basically saying, I think we're sending too much money overseas, and I think we have many problems that we need to deal with here in the United States. And Kamala Harris is like, we can do both. And when Joe Biden is getting hit with that, Joe Biden says, well, we're America. We can do pretty much anything we want. And it's like, but with $35 trillion in debt, it's amazing to me that never comes up as a conversation. And again, when we were talking to Mark Frost was pointing out, it's like you have all of these countries that started to organize around the United States because of the way we use our dollar as a weapon and the way we use these kind of financial instruments to go after other countries, not to mention stealing money at this point. I mean, just astonishing
The Russian Sovereign Wealth Fund?
Yeah, $300
billion. The Venezuelan Sovereign Wealth Fund? We're stealing people's money.
Astonishing. And so it's like, at the point where countries stop using the dollar, okay, then what happens to the dollar? And his point was, well, we're $35 trillion in debt. The moment that if the dollar no longer is reserve currency, we are screwed. Right. That was his point.
Right.
And so, but from her point of view, and from many of the people's point of view, the liberals, we can do it all. We can do it all. We're America. It doesn't affect one iota. And I want to get your take on something else, by the way, because somebody disagrees with you greatly in your analysis.
A lot of people do.
So I want you to, I want to give her a take. And then
it ain't you, is it?
No, it's not me. I agree with everything that comes out of your mouth. Let's hear this.
It's important to say that, anyone who has experienced or been in the United States for any period of time and experienced this country's history and knows it cannot have believed that it would be easy to elect a woman president, let alone a woman of color. Let's just be clear. And nothing that was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not true now. I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed,
Queen Latifah never endorsed. Queen Latifah, Dr. Leon. So I understand what you were saying, but damn it, Queen Latifah, she endorsed her. So it had to be flawless. Had to be. Because Queen Latifah don't endorse no regular campaign.
And neither does Harrison Ford. And Harrison Ford endorsed her. I think it was Harrison Ford endorsed her as well. That is such baseless garbage.
She said flawless.
Since this is a classy show, garbage.
Flawless campaign. Not one flaw, not one mistake. Flawless.
When you ask Vice President Harris a question, is it raining outside? Well, I was born in Oakland to a single mother, and we had very manicured lawns because it rained in Oakland when I was a child. Stop it. Please. In fact, in my piece, I have a line. The bad lies you tell are the lies you tell yourself. And worse than that are the lies you tell yourself and start to believe.
Yeah.
That's why the Democrats can't move forward, because of crap like that.
Yeah.
I was raised to understand, and this was beat into me literally and figuratively and literally beaten into me. I came home in about the 6th grade with C's on my report card.
Uh-huh.
And my parents went I think it's apoplectic.
Apoplectic. Yeah, apoplectic.
Or some might say ape shit.
Yeah.
And I said, well, wait a minute. C's are average.
They're passing.
Average is okay. You have to be 3 times as smart, work 4 times as hard to get half as far in America because you are Black in America.
Yeah.
That's what was literally beaten into me by my parents. So for Joy Reid to let that mindless dribble be her first point of defense means she's missing not the big picture, the whole damn picture. Because the fact that, again, I just gave that Hillary Clinton won, Barack Obama won. Now Hillary Clinton ran a lousy campaign the same way Kamala Harris. And oh, by the way, isn't Kamala Harris a Hillary Clinton acolyte?
Yes, she is. Do you think that they are lying when they say that, or do you think it's a blind spot? Because I think I've come to the assessment. Yeah, exactly. Because on some level, I mean, Kamala Harris tried to make that entire campaign about Donald Trump. And it was almost as if Democrats loved it because it was like she's prosecuting the case against Trump, missing the fact that that's a very narrow window of people who are going to agree with you. Meaning the people who say Donald Trump is Hitler and a fascist already agree. They already agree with you. And I remember Axios came out with that story that basically said, stop doing that. Nobody believes that. Basically, you're not moving the needle on anybody that you need to get elected with that line of questioning or that line of argument, because Donald Trump is a fully formed thought. Meaning he has been in the public eye for 10 years at this point. So you really believe you're going to reshape his image after 10 years and all of the crap and stupid stuff Donald Trump has said? You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it.
How are you going to make my life better? I'm paying $3.50 a pound for tomatoes. Yep. How are you going and to tell me, well, we're going to tell the wealthy to pay their share of taxes. Wow, that's brilliant. We're going to tell them to pay their. Wow. Oh, we're going to attack inflation. Richard Nixon tried that. Didn't work.
Well, you realize the reason she said that is because she couldn't say the true thing that my boss.
It's her economy.
My current boss. Right. My current boss might have done stuff that had adversely affected the economy. So I'm going to focus on corporate greed as opposed to, policy. And not to mention those sanctions about that war also played a part of it. I got this clip where they're asking Jen Psaki. Mm-hmm. And Jen Psaki basically says, well, our values come with a cost. And what she was referring to was the sanctions that were being passed. She knew that inflation was going to go up, costs were going to go up as a direct result of the sanctions that they were passing on Russia, even here and in Europe. And her response was, our values are not without costs. Basically, you need to take the hit for Ukraine. They like the level to which they are trying to cynically distance themselves. Because from my point of view, I agree with you. I think part of it is a blind spot. The other part is they're trying to cynically distance themselves from fault and blame and failure. And I would argue this is a party issue. That party has so little values on this notion of blue, no matter who, that any candidate that has a heartbeat, they're willing to accept over a Republican. And what they keep missing is your values on some level matter. Like, it matters that you have a bar below what you're willing to accept. If not for you, for the very basic point that the rest of the public is not going to vote for somebody that sucks. Like, it's like you need to have a quality candidate on some level, even if it's not just for your own benefit, but for the country's benefit, and to just be able to win. And somewhere along the way, they thought Donald Trump is so bad that the public will clearly see it if Kamala Harris can articulate how bad he is. And it's like, dude, Clinton did that. That was Clinton's strategy, right? Donald Trump is horrible. Donald Trump is, menace. Donald Trump is going to end democracy, et cetera, et cetera. It didn't work with her.
People didn't want to buy genocide.
Yeah, that too.
You were trying to rationalize, justify, and sell us genocide. And here's a news flash, Jamarl. I don't know if you've seen this. People have a problem with genocide.
They tend to, yeah. As they should.
So,
as they should.
You telling me that Donald Trump is an idiot? He says that to me every day. Every time Donald Trump opens his mouth,
yes,
when he's finished speaking, I say, that dude's an idiot.
Right.
I don't need you to tell me that. We can talk about the basis, huh?
Oh, it's 9 o'clock. I was gonna
well, I can give you a couple minutes if you need a little more time.
Okay.
Convicted of 34 felonies. Now we can debate the validity of that. We can debate that, but what you can't debate is the fact he was convicted of 34 felonies.
Right.
He beat, I make this point in my piece. He beat y'all twice. He beat you twice. He beat Hillary Clinton, and he just whipped your butt.
Now we can vote into.
We can talk about, well, he won by 2% more. She lost by. I was on a show on WPFW, Verna Avery Brown show, and she was trying to parse I said, Verna, stop it. She lost. Stop it. You can't find solace by parsing these numbers.
They don't.
You got your butt kicked.
Yeah, they don't.
You didn't win a swing state.
Not one.
Not
in
uno.
Fact, it's even worse. Donald Trump made gains in 49 of 50 states. 49 of 50 states.
Here's one other element that I think is very important that I haven't heard many people talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden never released Kamala Harris from the Biden-Harris administration. Joe Biden never, huh?
I mean, does he have to, though? I mean, I guess from my point of view, Kamala Harris has a job to do in running a race and trying to win that race. And you can't allow your entanglements with Joe Biden to prevent you from beating the guy who you were calling Hitler, a fascist, the end of democracy, et cetera, et cetera.
But when you saw, as soon as her name was announced,
mm-hmm.
the Republicans started calling it the Harris administration.
Yes, they did.
And Joe Biden never came out and said, remember when Al Gore was running,
mm-hmm.
and they were trying to tie Al Gore to the Monica Lewinsky fiasco, Bill Clinton came out and said, look, stop it. That was me. He had nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
He is his own man. He's running his own campaign. I was president. He was not. He is running separate from me. And then as soon as he said that, Al Gore's message changed.
Yeah.
Bill, some might say it's a trivial point, and it may be a trivial point. But when you lose by narrow margins, trivial points matter.
Everything matters. Yeah.
And so Joe Biden never said, I'm president it was my administration. You now need to listen to what she is telling you that she is going to do moving forward. The past was mine. The future is hers.
Right.
That would have given her a little more latitude and leeway, I believe, to operate as her own candidate. One of the problems was, as they said this, and y'all can go back and look at I ain't hating on anybody. Y'all can go back and look at the stories when her staff was abandoning her.
Right.
What did they say?
Right.
She doesn't read her briefing books.
Yeah.
She doesn't go into meetings prepared. Simone Sanders may have said this.
Yeah.
When Simone, and I say may because I can't remember if it was, and I'm not trying to attribute anything to somebody that isn't true, but if it wasn't Simone, there were a number of people that said she doesn't read her briefing books. She doesn't go into meetings prepared. Mm-hmm. And because of that, when she gets exposed as not being prepared, she gets angry at the staff.
Right. Because she had 90% turnover or something? Some insane amount of turnover.
And when I listened to her talk about the economy, I heard a woman who didn't know what she was talking about. When I heard her try to talk about immigration, I heard a woman that didn't know what she was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, she did not run a good campaign, and they are not. And and the sad part is, it's not just her; it's the party as broadly.
Right.
Like it's not just
they got nothing.
Her loss. Yeah, it's a brand issue. Before I let you go, what do you think they're going to do now? Like, where do they? I got to be honest. I have no answer for this question, and I've asked a few people, and then they haven't had an answer for it. Where does the party go now? I know I get the wilderness part, but I don't know how they cobble themselves back together after a loss like this, especially to a man they call Hitler, fascist, and as you pointed out, 33 criminal convictions in a court of law.
I don't know what they're going to do. When I was 13 years old, I was lost in the woods in the Sierra Nevadas.
Yeah.
For a day and a half. And at night, I found the North Star. And with the group I was with, we were able to navigate by finding the North Star. They can't find the North Star. They found the North Star and they're headed east. They're clueless because of the duopoly that we now find ourselves enmeshed in. We're dealing with two wings on the same bird. They have been bought and paid for by the same benefactors. In fact, I'm telling folks, Democrats that are sitting there crying in their beer, what do we do? We'll call AIPAC, because AIPAC bought this damn thing. Look at what's his name from New York? Look at Kamala. Doug Emhoff is an AIPAC. I think he's an AIPAC lobbyist.
I wouldn't be shocked if he is.
So those of you that are sitting here crying, "Woe is me! What am I to do now?" We'll call AIPAC, especially African Americans that are sitting around crying in their beer. What do we do? Where do we go? Call AIPAC. See if they help you. See what they do. See if they even answer the damn phone. So, hey man, I can't.
I don't have an answer for it. I legit don't have an answer for it. I don't know.
I know Minister Farrakhan said, "Hey folks, you all are asking me what to do now. I'm telling you, I done told you what to do, and you didn't want to listen. I'm done telling you. You didn't." He says, "Now you got to figure it out." He says, even a little squirrel has more. This is Minister Farrakhan. Even a little squirrel has more sense than black people. At least a squirrel knows to store nuts in a tree.
Wow.
That ain't me. That's the minister.
Dr.
But he's right.
Dr. Wilmer. He is political scientist, nationally syndicated radio host. There we are, nationally syndicated radio host and a good friend of this show. Thank you, my man. I appreciate this.
Anytime,
All
brother.
right.
I'm out.
I am going to take a quick break.